Howdy do. I'm Frank, and this is my E3 discussion. It's not really a discussion. I'm just kind of by myself. I wish I had people to discuss this with, but anyway, this is my personal E3 predictions. Yes, slash ideas slash things I would like to see slash things that are probably not going to happen. Well, some of them probably would be, but got my list here, and let's just get into it. First off, the thing I would like to see that's probably the most improbable of them all is a capture switch dock. Pretty much the idea is that you take like a capture device and the switch dock and you combine them together and you can capture footage directly from Nintendo. Because Nintendo is totally not going to be a copyrighted machine gun that mows down all copyrighted videos in existence. That even tries to show off their games for free publicity, right? Right? Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But the idea is that they might partner with Elgato or something like that. They've just essentially put an Elgato into a Switch. You plug it into your TV, you plug in like an SD card extra or like a USB stick or directly connect to a laptop or computer, maybe even your smartphone using the Nintendo Switch app. And then you can record footage directly like that, but with a lot of little neat extra features. Like, you could have, like, kind of like a, those kind of things you see in some speedruns where they'll have, like, kind of like a overlay with their controller, and you can see their exact inputs, and it's, like, recording it and everything. Kind of like something like that, maybe like an automatic, like, webcam feature. If you plug in a webcam, you can automatically get it to record you. Or you just record it in raw footage, 720p, 1080p, matching the game's resolution and stuff like that in frame rate. Just like, something cool like that. Like I said, it's probably never going to happen, but that's my most craziest prediction, is that they'll announce the Capture Switch dock, partnered with Elgato, or just some other capture card company. Stop trying to edit. There we go. It's saved, so it doesn't pop up the edit thing. Next thing up is a casual Pro Controller called the Comfort Controller. The idea is that the Pro Controller is kind of expensive. It's $70, $60 on Amazon. It's been $60 for, at least for Prime. But the idea is that it'll make a cheaper Pro Controller, which might not have like the NFC. It might have standard rumble instead of HD rumble, or something like that, and it would just be like a cheaper controller alternative, which would be like $40-50. That is meant more for comfort and to get another regular controller in your hands. Or they'll announce a price reduction of the Pro Controller. Either or. But yeah, that's essentially just my idea. It would just have like the lack of NFC or HD rumble. It'll still have gyroscopes, so you can still use it for like stuff like Splatoon or Breath of the Wild with some of the gyroscope only puzzles and stuff like that. And yeah. And speaking of Breath of the Wild, I would like to see a Majora's Mask-esque sequel to Breath of the Wild using mostly the same assets, but telling a much more story-focused thing. With maybe like not even Link as the main character, and maybe taking place in Termina with the after events of Majora's Mask, or like the origin of Majora or something like that. I think that would be kind of cool, since they can make the world smaller if it takes place in Termina, since Termina is generally smaller than Hyrule, so they can make it smaller, more focused, it can come out sooner. I would like to see a heavier essence on story. I would like to see more voice acting, but I wouldn't mind as long as like there's engaging characters that you care about, like it is in Majora's Mask. Because story-wise, Majora's Mask is my favorite. And I would still say Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda game. Breath of the Wild coming in a close second, but if you can combine the two into one product, it would be amazing. So yeah, that's what I like. Oh yeah, crazy Smash Bros. Character prediction. Sandbag will be a playable character, and he'll be even worse than Pichu. Moving on. Bravely Third. I want a Bravely Third announced. I know the team is working on The team that makes the Bravely Default games is working on Octopath Traveler. I know that. But I really want Bravely Third. They ended it off on a cliffhanger. Not a cliffhanger, but like, oh hey, we got something in the works for a third game in terms of story with the Sword of the Brave or something like that. Not going to go too much into spoilers, but some minor spoilers I should have warned you about. I'm not sorry. I am kind of sorry. But the idea is like, I really want a Bravely Third in HD to look like the CG and stuff like that from Bravely games on the Switch. Great. It'd be awesome. All for the coup de grace. That probably didn't make any sense to anyone who hasn't played Bravely Second. But anyway, if we're not getting a Bravely Third, I would like to see a potential Final Fantasy game. Maybe even like a collection, even. I doubt it'll be like the next major Final Fantasy. A lot of people are probably guessing that it'll be Angie's Angie's. The tech demo that they showed around 2012 for like DirectX 12 and it's supposed to be all real time and it's like crazy, look good looking and stuff like that. My prediction is that won't be Final Fantasy 16, but rather maybe a spin-off of 15 or using the same gameplay style as 15, just in a new engine, so they can keep rolling with that gravy train. Well, who knows? Might actually use this engine for that. That'd be weird. But the idea is, I don't think that would be 16, because it still has like, you know, real world trucks and stuff like that, and like, I wouldn't mind it, but they like to tend to throw a curveball every Final Fantasy. Like, yeah, they'll do callbacks and stuff like that, or to build on an idea from the previous game. But if you look at every Final Fantasy, it tries to be as different as possible from the last. Like, compare 9 to 10 to 11 to 12 to 13 to 14 and then to 15. Like, 15 is the first action RPG of the series. I would like to see the main line to get back to ATB or something like that. Personally. I wouldn't mind another action RPG. I like my action RPGs. But I would like to see like a Final Fantasy collection on Switch. I would like to see some Final Fantasy game, maybe a return of the Crystal Chronicle games. I like the one on DS, the Rings of Fate one. Never got to finish it though. That was back when I was really dumb and couldn't read very well. I was a dumb kid. Yeah, like, you know, something Final Fantasy I would like to see. Next up is something that people have been talking about a lot, is that they would like to see a kind of like a Dynasty Warriors Pokemon game. Because in Pokemon X and Y, they did talk about a Pokemon War. And you could do a lot with that. Like, it defeat an army of Bidoofs with the power of Lucario or Gardevoir, and, you know, stuff like that. Be a Charizard and rain fire down upon the Bidoof. Or something like that. That would be fun. Next up would be the Virtual Console Halo Work, quote unquote, because it's not technically the Virtual Console anymore. It's going to be this kind of subscription thing, which I'm iffy on personally, because I never had a lot of money when I was younger, and I still don't. And I wasn't allowed to purchase things online, and I wasn't aware of the Wii Points cards that you can get in store. I didn't know about those, but pretty much, brain freeze, not freeze. But essentially, I never really got to like own a lot of Virtual Console games, and yeah, and also I think my Wii's bricked, so I couldn't get any Virtual Consoles back when the Wii where were still available. It's still technically up, but I can't add Wii points anymore, so yeah, that sucks. But how I would imagine it will work is kind of like Netflix slash PlayStation Plus style, where you'll download the game and be able to just play it as long as you're subscribed, similar to PlayStation Plus, but be more Netflix like in the sense that you have a constant catalog that you would have access to. And they'll just add to that over time. Everyone would say, oh, we want them all at once, but that could potentially hurt indie games that are similar, which is some people have been talking about. But I think if it's going to be Netflix style, I don't think there should be a reason why they can't at least do a more than what is like 20-40 games that are currently out now. Not a lot of them are like the big titles. I don't even think like Mario Brothers or Legend of Zelda is part of it. They did release the arcade classics version of Mario Brothers, but it's just like one of the big reasons why they don't want you to do this is because they want to give you the classics, which I would want, at least for the Super Nintendo one and the N64 one. Those are the two ones I want. I would imagine that instead of having a GameCube Virtual Console, I'm just going to refer to it as Virtual Console because that's just the easiest way to kind of refer to it as, and I need to take a small drink. Trying to talk clearly and stuff, it hurts your throat. But the idea is that I think they'll save the GameCube games and just make HD versions or port them to 3DS, which is what they did with Luigi's Mansion, which is like, what? I would imagine they'll port over Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD in a collection, maybe even packaged in with Skyward Sword HD, or maybe release those two as an HD bundle for $60, $40, $50, probably gonna be $60. To show like, oh hey, we're making Skyward Sword HD, like look how good it looks and stuff like that, to hype that up. Then for stuff like Mario Sunshine, they'll probably just make an HD version of that game. Maybe redo some of the controls so it could work better on the either Joy-Con or Pro controller, because we don't necessarily have analog, and you can't expect everyone to go and buy a GameCube controller with a classic controls option for people who do have a GameCube controller and the not original, but essentially a reprint with the rebranding of the GameCube controller adapter for Switch, since it does natively work with the Switch's UI and games, since it's built into the UI. And I would imagine they might release another line of GameCube controllers, or like if they don't do the casual comfort controllers, they'll do with a GameCube-like controller for it, which I have seen for the Wii U, which I believe are made by third parties, not first party, but I would imagine they'll do another third party, or maybe a first party version of something like that with GameCube controllers, so it has all the neat buttons and everything that you need, but the ZL and ZR buttons, or they might reverse it, which would be kind of weird, but they might make the bigger shoulder buttons analog, and it would just have different settings depending on how far you press it down to make it count as just a regular press when you're playing regular Switch games and stuff like that. So that's what I predict for the Virtual Console. We won't get a GameCube one. They'll just save the titles and remake them in HD and stuff like that. And that's how I expect it to go about Virtual Console stuff. The next thing would be the next Fire Emblem game, which we definitely might see, because I think it's supposed to come out next year. I forget what the announcement year was, but so pretty much we're definitely going to see something about that. Maybe main character, title reveal, stuff like that. Shin Megami Tensei 5. I've been recently trying to play Nocturne, which is a decent game, but I think I got lost at the current moment. I need to look up where I need to go next and stuff. I'm more a Persona guy personally, but you know, it seems like it's using the Persona 5 models and engine, which is why they put so much time and effort in Persona 5, so they can use it for the other games, since Atlus is not the biggest company around. There's no Square Enix, and even then Square Enix is not the biggest company around, which is supposed to give you an idea of, yeah, that was not that big, but looking forward to it. Maybe we'll see Pikmin 4? Maybe. Miyamoto's been saying it's coming. It's like, it just seems like it's slowly becoming vaporware, but then it's slowly becoming solid and vapor again, and solid. It's like, oh, it's totally going to be announced, and there it goes. Then it's back, and there it goes, and then it's back again, and there it goes. It's like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and the Yeti, elusive creatures of various wilds. You think you see it, but then it's gone. A look at the next gen Pokemon game. Not Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, but specifically next gen. Because they did say, yes, we're working on a 2019 title for Pokemon's next generation, which I hope it looks a little bit more modern. Because Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, to me, just looks like an up-res 3DS game, which still looks good. It still looks good. Albeit a tiny bit disappointing. Call me a graphics whore, because I'm a graphics whore. No. I'm just saying that Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee looks like a spinoff. In fact, I'll probably even dare say it probably started as a 3DS game. Yeah, I would really like to see the next gen Pokemon game and stuff. I hope we get to see it. At least a teaser. At least the new starters. Something like that. Next thing I want to talk about is something different about the Switch. I think they might either announce a new Switch model, or like, not necessarily like, oh, it has better RAM or anything like that, but rather like a slightly updated one, because hackers have found a way to hack the Switch by abusing an actual hardware thing in it. So I imagine they might come up with a new Switch model which might have a new bell or whistle or something like that. It wouldn't be anything like super significant. It would be something more nice to have, or something like that, or something that will make it cheaper, thus they can lower the price, which is something I also want to talk about. Yeah, something later on. But if they do come out with a new Switch model, like a Slim maybe makes it a bit smaller, or like they'll announce something similar to how they announced in Japan, where they'll just sell the console itself without the dock, but only for like $40 less, which is, when you look at it, it's like you might as well just buy a Switch for the extra $40 equivalent of yen, because then you get the option to having the dock, because the dock is way more expensive if you were to buy it individually, which kind of shows that, yeah, the dock was probably never that pricey to begin with. It was probably a bit overcharged, which is a general issue that Nintendo's been having. And I would just cover this the point about price reductions now, which is a few points after what I have, is that I don't expect them to reduce the price of the Switch all that much. In fact, I doubt it would happen this year. But if they do, it would be like $20 at most. And I would imagine they'll lower the price of stuff like accessories first. They might make this from $60 to $70, and the Joy-Cons from $80 to $70. Like, trying to knock it down by $10 and stuff like that. I don't expect things to be drastically lower. I don't expect this to be $250 or $49.99 like right now. No, I don't expect we'll be seeing this to be $49.99 until like maybe the year after next, is what I assume, because the thing's selling like hotcakes. There's no reason for Nintendo to lower the price down at a business level, aside from maybe like getting a slight extra boost in sales, which they might not need. It depends. If the boost is big enough to make them overall more money, then yeah, I can see them happening that. And if it is going to be $249.99, it's going to be the one without the dock. Well, it technically also doesn't come with the Joy-Con grip as well. Does it come with the charger? Anyway, the Japanese one thing without the dock. But pretty much the idea is that it won't have the dock if it is going to be that low within the next year. I don't expect it to the year after next for the whole package to be that low. Then you have the accessories. I expect the accessories to come down first before anything else. So yeah. Next point. They're going to announce a new IP along the lines of ARMS and Splatoon that people are both going to simultaneously love and loathe. It's going to happen. Then they'll announce yet another 3DS game that people will bitch about, maybe me included, that should have been on the Switch. Yet another one, if not two. I'm gonna up it to two. Yeah, two. That's my prediction. Two games that people wouldn't complain about, regardless whether they're a remake or not, that to say, oh, this should have been on Switch, but it's not. And people are gonna get angry. Like me. I might not get angry, but I might get angry. I might expect them to. This might go along with the new model thing, but they might change like the main color of the Switch in new Switch variations, like a clear atomic purple or something like that. Because people have been mining their Switches constantly for that, and I think Nintendo might want to get on that, and E3 might be a good place to announce that sort of thing, where it's like more colors this time of the Switch too, not just the Joy-Con. And maybe some new Joy-Con colors as well. Potentially, next Animal Crossing game. Amiibo Festival 2. Yeah. Let's hope it's not that. Next up would be, what I'll predict is that the Metroid Prime 4 footage, gameplay footage that we could potentially see in this will be controversial. It'll be, people will either really love it or really hate it. It'll be one of the most controversial things of Nintendo's E3. That's my prediction. It's going to be the most controversial thing. And finally, my last prediction of this 20-ish minute video. They're going to announce a Smash Brothers character that everybody is just going to say, what in the actual hell is this character doing in Smash? Not because they're popular. It's not going to be a Cloud-esque situation. It's going to be that Wii Fit trainer of Super Smash Bros. And I'm going to love it, and everybody else is going to complain about slots. Even though Sakurai has confirmed before that he does not operate on slot development. It's literally as much as he can be thrown. And as a side note, I love clone characters. I used to dislike them until I heard about why they're made, especially by Sakurai's decision, because he says it's literally because, oh hey, we have $2 left over in the budget, let's make a clone character. That's essentially how clone characters are made. It's because they don't have enough money to make new characters, so they'll use clones using the assets they have already made. That's why Lucina was originally going to be a costume for Marth, but they decided, hey, people like Lucina enough, and we have like $2 left over. Boom! Lucina is her own character. Also, side prediction, I bet Lucina will still be in Smash 5, but will be a costume for Marth. Unless they give her a spear and that heavy armor that I seen her wear in from Heroes, which could potentially justify her own existence as a character, essentially making her a brand new character with while also keeping a character. Yeah. That's what I expect from Nintendo of E3 this year, next week. It's next week! It's gonna be a long ass week. I wish I had a job. It'll make things go by faster. And again, I probably had my hours on E3 and I'm sucky, but. Oh, by the way, I do art commissions. Link in the description to my Twitter where you can get info. Yeah. Maybe commission me if you're a favorite Nintendo character or a character you want to see in Smash. Anyway, enough selfish, shameless promotion. That's it for my video. What is your predictions? What do you want to see? Do you have anything crazy? Anyway, see y'all later.